Welcome to NASDAQ Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ. Joining me to discuss institutional interest in the digital asset class and why it's resonating with investors right now is Michael Sonnenshein. He's the Managing Director at Grayscale Investments. Michael, welcome to Trade Talks. It's great to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, tell us about Grayscale and how your products are structured.
So Grayscale is the world's largest digital currency asset management business. We manage about $6 billion today, and we do so spread across a family of 10 investment products. I think for our team, we were early to recognize that digital currency was an asset class investors wanted exposure to. But even today, 7, 8 years into Grayscale's life, digital currency still exists outside of a lot of the places where investors actually make their investments. And so we thought that we could bring investors into the asset class by creating a family of access products. So today we have 9 investment products that each are solely and passively invested in a single digital currency, and then a 10th product, which is a diversified basket of large cap digital currencies. And so really for a lot of investors, they don't really have the opportunity to sit on the sideline anymore. They can leverage Grayscale's products and express a view on digital currencies and have it sit right alongside other things in their portfolios.
So Michael, what's happening in the world right now, and why is this the right place and time for crypto?
Well, I think one thing that we've definitely seen is, I guess, let's call it 3 different trends. So I think number one, the world has gone increasingly digital. And I think the world that was going digital has become even more so as a result of the pandemic and the virtual world that we're now talking in. And I think as a result of that, folks are really thinking about what constitutes a store of value, and do stores of value that once held up in a physical world still hold up in a world that's gone completely digital. And so this narrative has solidified around new stores of value like Bitcoin being a digital gold or a digital store of value as opposed to physical ones like gold. And so that narrative is certainly coming into the fold quite a bit. I think the other thing that we're talking about is a backdrop in an investment landscape that's unlike anything investors have had to look at before. There's so much uncertainty with the election coming up, the unlimited quantitative easing being pumped into the financial system. It's really causing investors, I think, one, to look at new return streams, look for new sources of alpha in their portfolios, and then 2, really thinking about verifiable scarcity. And when they think about fiat currencies just being printed and printed and printed, it's having a lot of them think very carefully about the actual verifiable scarcity of an asset like Bitcoin and why that now warrants, a position inside their portfolios.
What are you seeing in terms of demand, not just for Bitcoin, but also altcoins, and who's doing the investing?
So our investor base now spans everybody from high net worth individuals to family offices, hedge funds, even pensions and endowments. So we're proud to say that there really isn't any one kind of investor that's still sitting on the sidelines under the Grayscale umbrella. And I think similarly, we're seeing the investment mandates be really, really far stretching. We interact with those who are typically tech investors. We interact with those who are both momentum and value investors, global macro investors, risk arbitrage. I mean, there is no one type of investor that is looking at digital currency and allocating to it, which I think is a really important takeaway for folks. That being said, I still think that we continue to find that there is certainly in most investors' case, Bitcoin is the first area of the asset class they want exposure to, and we see them allocating to the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That being said, over, I'd say, most of this year, we're now basically at a point where I believe it's just north of about 80% of returning investors to Grayscale have now invested in more than one Grayscale product, meaning they now have allocations to more than one digital currency. And so this is a trend we're watching very, very closely, and one that we think is only going to continue.
And to wrap, what's the latest Grayscale news?
Latest Grayscale news. So, well, let's see. Earlier this year, we had our flagship product, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, become an SEC reporting company. So it now files 10Ks and 10Qs and 8Ks, and it's the first digital currency investment vehicle to do so. We just recently announced that we have filed to make our Grayscale Ethereum Trust an SEC reporting company as well. So keeping our eyes and ears out for our interactions with the commission and hope that we get that through. We just launched a new advertising campaign called The History of Money, which you'll see airing all over the place, which we're very excited about. And I think in addition to that, we've had a very strong year. We've raised over $1.8 billion in new assets so far throughout 2020. And we're really excited about the kinds of investors that we're seeing and the level of engagement that a lot of them have with us.
Yeah, that's really quite incredible considering we're doing everything virtual now as well. Really looking forward to the history of money. Michael, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining me on Trade Talks.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ.